So yeah, Uncharted 1 Drake's Fortune introduces us to our hero Nathan Drake, distant descendant of explorer Sir Francis Drake. Along with journalist and soon-to-be on-again, off-again love interest Elena Fisher, he pulls up the coffin of dear old great-great-great-great-granddad off the Panamanian coast only to find it empty. A diary inside shows Drake faked his death and left a trail of clues behind to El Dorado, the fabled city of gold. Some pirates show up, and Victor Sully Sullivan, resident badass and card-carrying AARP member, bails them out. Nate and Sully ditch Elena, head to the Amazon, realize El Dorado isn't a city but a golden statue removed years ago by conquistadors, and find a German U-boat chilling in the middle of the jungle. No big deal. A missing page from Drake's diary in the sub shows an island in the South Pacific. Then we meet team bad guys, Gabriel Roman, Atok Navarro, and Eddie Raja, also after the statue. They take the diary page, Sully takes a bullet, the sub explodes, and Elena shows up just in time to escape with Nate. Shot down over their South Pacific destination, Nate's captured by Eddie, Elena solidifies her coolest journalist of all time title, and they discover Sully still alive. Drake's apparently Kevlar diary stopped the bullet cold, Sully went all double agent on Roman and Navarro, and the trio continue after the Dorado. They find Drake's body, giving up hope, assuming he died without finding the treasure, until Eddie Raja is killed fighting mutant Dorado zombies. Seems like they're onto something. Learning the statue is cursed, Francis Drake died keeping the statue on the island. Finding it at last, Navarro urges Roman to open sesame, revealing the mummy of El Dorado. Roman gets a good whiff of dead guy particles and starts mutating. Well, he didn't have time to finish, but Navarro takes off with the statue, Nate jumps on board, crashing into Roman's cargo ship and kicking off their final fight, ending in Nate's death. Kidding. Nate beats Navarro's ass to a pulp, then pushes the helicopter overboard along with a tether wrapped around both the statue and Navarro's leg, plunging all three into the watery depths below. Sully turns up moments later in a speedboat with some parting gifts from the island, and they all sail off into the horizon. Uncharted 2 Among Thieves slowly eases into things, with wounded Nate climbing up a train, hanging off a cliff, diving into the snow, and recovering a mysterious artifact called a Furba. Flashing back months ago, Nate meets with former associate Harry Flynn and former lover/brooding bombshell Chloe Fraser. They steal Marco Polo's oil lamp from a Turkish museum, which shows a map to Polo's doomed 1292 fleet in Borneo, supposedly containing the Sintamani stone from Shambhala. Flynn double-crosses Nate, abandoning him to the joys of Turkish prison until he's bailed out 3 months later by Chloe and Sully. This year's all-star bad guy lineup includes Zoran Lazarevich, ex-Soviet intel-turned-warlord, who enjoys long walks on the beach and lost ultra-powerful Marco Polo relics, and Flynn, who's now working for Lazarevich. Chloe's working as a mole, Nate and Sully learn the stone never left Shambhala, finding a temple where Polo's crew took refuge from a tsunami and went full postal on each other in the process. Taking a Furba and a map, Nate and Chloe head for the temple in Shangri-La, bump into Elena and cameraman Jeff, get caught, Chloe flips to maintain mole status, Jeff bites the big one, and Nate and Elena escape. Worried about Chloe, Nate catches Lazarevich's train, but she gets a bit testy about how Nate compromised their mission to help another ex-lover. Flynn shoots Nate in the gut, Nate blows the back half of the train over a cliff, and we catch up to where the game started. A Tibetan villager named Tenzin nurses Nate back to life. He reunites with Elena and meets old German explorer and friendly neighborhood SS member Carl Schaefer, who killed his men to protect the world from the Sintamani stone. While exploring the ice caves to battle mutant ice goats/abominable snowmen, Lazarevich kidnaps Schaefer, Nate and Elena track them to a monastery, Schaefer's killed in a firefight, and together with Chloe, they unlock the secret passage to Shambhala. Finally arriving at the stone, it's a giant amber of blue resin embedded in a prehistoric tree of life. The sap makes its consumer nearly invincible, explaining the mutated Guardians and Polo's doomed crew. A wounded Flynn ambushes them, killing himself with a grenade, and Elena gets pretty messed up in the process too. Nate leaves her in Chloe's care and sets off to confront Lazarevich in the Tree of Life. Nate arrives just as Lazarevich drinks the tree sap, commencing Hulk mode, but Nate's a champ and leaves him to be finished off by the Guardians. As the city crumbles under explosions of resin, Nate and Chloe carry Elena to safety. Back in the village, Chloe counsels Nate to tell Elena that he loves her, before bidding him farewell. Sully leaves her recovering Elena to Nate, and the two are ready to enjoy that sweet sunset yet again. Uncharted 3 Drake's Deception. It's 2 years later, and Nate and Sully, looking sharp, meet this guy Talbot in a London pub to sell Drake's ring. Cash looks fake, so they fight, lose to Charlie Cutter, as Catherine Marlowe, new head bad guy, steals Drake's ring. Our boys get shot and left for dead. Roll credits. No? Are they not really dead? Ah, Naughty Dog, I know your tricks. A flashback shows 15-year-old Nate looking to steal the ring in a Cartagena museum. Young Sully is also after the ring, working with Marlowe at the time, but rescues Nate and takes him on as a protege. Presently, Nate and Sully rise from the dead, all is set up with Cutter just to track down Marlowe. With good old Chloe, they trace Marlowe's car to an underground library, where they manage to retrieve T.E. Lawrence's notebook and a map showing Francis Drake's secret voyage to Arabia, where he was commissioned by Queen Elizabeth I and the famous John Dee to search for the lost city of Ubar. The clues lead them through a French chateau and a Syrian citadel. In Yemen, Nate gets some help from now ex-wife Elena to find the location of the lost city is in the Rub al-Khali desert. Nate gets darted with some hallucinogen, wanders off, wakes up outside a cafe with Marlo and Talbot. She tries to force Ubar out of Nate, but getting word of Sully's location, the party breaks up. Nate chases Talbot through the city, ultimately getting knocked out and kidnapped by Marlo's pirate thug Ramses. Resisting interrogation, Nate calls it even by sinking the ship and drowning Ramses. Washed up in Yemen and back with Elena, he sneaks onto a cargo plane due to airdrop supplies to Marlo's convoy, which Sully is being forced to lead to Ubar. Obviously, the plane has to explode and fall out of the sky so that Nate can dramatically grab a cargo pallet, mid-air, deploy its parachute, and safely land in the desert, making SEAL Team 6 look like a bunch of silly nannies. Nate hangs out with Salim and his Bedouin tribe, who tell him Ubar was doomed millennia ago when King Solomon imprisoned an evil jinn within a brass vessel and cast it into the heart of the city. Nate and Salim rescue Sully, and our boys press on through a sandstorm to arrive at Ubar. Working up a thirst, Nate drinks from a fountain, watches Talbot and Marlo kill Sully, rages bloody murder, realizes he's tripping balls, and understands the water was tainted all those years ago by a powerful hallucinogen within the brass vessel King Solomon cast into the well. Sully's fine, for now anyways, but as he's almost killed by Talbot, Nate accidentally blows the central cistern, collapsing the city around them. Marlo sinks to her death, along with Drake's ring, Talbot joins her soon enough, and Salim rides in to the rescue. Nate and Sully return to the airport, where Sully gives back Nate's wedding ring, which he secretly kept safe when Nate and Elena separated. Elena joins them and Nate proposes again. The two embrace with the promise of a fresh start, and aboard Sully's new seaplane, the trio fly off into the horizon. The end. Until now.